little long range too.
Yeah, but, I mean, who do you pick up if you're Twisted Minds right now? What kind of XP laner? We've seen the even the Hylos have struggled. You do get to have that glorious pathway to slow them down or provide additional speed, but do they really go for something? But even the glue might actually not be able to reach the Kimmy at this point. So,
Wow. Okay, there's a throwback.
See what I tell you all about? No holds barred. The gloves are off. Nothing to lose.
Minds are twisted.
How about some new picks?
Debut.
Day 3, week 8, literally the last possible day of broadcast for the regular season.
Still debuts.
oh my goodness.
I love it, man, and it's the team that I feel like started the debut bonanza.
And it's so fitting. It's so fitting for the Ultimate Fighter kind of name that we have for James.
Oh!
Wait,
Are we throwing back to XP Lane?
XP
Lucas. And ONIC did a solid for all the fans who grew up watching Naruto. Team 7 is complete.
Okay, so
How? How? You're just missing Sensei Kakashi.
well, yeah,
He got banned.
he got banned.
this is unbelievable.
He's busy reading Paradise Lost.
So from yesterday seeing the Kimmy in the gold, now putting it in the mid, and from being so used to the Lucas in the jungle, and initially Leo even hating it, now it's back in the XP lane.
Do you still hate it if it's in the XP lane,
I'll play it wherever.
or just because now it's Naruto, you're just like, yeah.
No. I was spamming it even before the skin came out.
Okay.
I knew it was coming, but
Yeah, I was gonna say, you kind of knew it was coming. And what's happening right now is this is the lineup. It's so funny to see the lineup from ONIC Philippines with those specific heroes loading in. But will this debut pick also work this time around for Twisted Minds to get the start in the series? Again, it's a best of 3. This is game 1. We jump into Land of Dawn, and ONIC Philippines wants to go ahead and win this to get one step closer to the top seed here, that second spot behind TLPH. Now, we jump into this game. We're going to see exactly how this mid Kimmy in the hands of Super Prince is going to work. Now, he is one of the, I feel like, players in the league that has probably picked up some of the most unique hero picks in the mid lane.
Yeah, and honestly, together with the Kalea, this is going to be such a problem for Twisted Minds if they aren't able to prepare themselves beforehand of whichever plays and engages they might actually go for. Because again, Kimmy right now can also provide crowd control. So if they do want to attempt for a pickoff or a setup towards any of the members of Twisted Minds, they can do just that. It can be either Brusco setting things up first, or it can be Super Prince from afar and then Brusco just coming in, because he also does have the flicker still. Oh. Wait.
Okay, well, game should be fine. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen the Lapu Lapu, you know?
Yeah.
Did we see, even last season, did we see him that much? Maybe once or twice?
If at all.
Yeah, if at all. So, you know, this is going to be an interesting pick that James brought out. Now, still, I think you're relatively a great fighting potential for that front line if you need it, especially with knowing that, okay, at least I have some heals coming through from Escalera, and I should be able to go ahead and hold my own. So this is a rather, I feel like, bulky lineup that Twisted Minds has here. A lot of their damage is going to come also later on once Outplayed maybe gets online with the Granger. We've seen the Granger struggle a little bit ever since the nerf. That taking away some of that range that he had really did affect him.
150%. Twisted Minds actually outbulks ONIC. No question. But really, where you have to wonder is, what about damage?
Yeah.
Like, they need to have very specific avenues of damage to even take out 1 or 2 members of ONIC.
Yeah, for the first few moments, specifically this upcoming Turtle, it could be an asset, but hold on.
They dive onto James, force out the ult. Turtle gets taken here by King Kong, and here comes the Beast, unleashing Kilby. And, of course, Susano as well. ONIC just asserting dominance, pushing back the rest of Twisted Minds.
Yep, and they know exactly how they are at an advantage at this point of the game. With Twisted Minds still yet to have a decent source of damage, so long as ONIC is able to fight from a distance, specifically those members who are to dish out the damage and who are supposed to fight from a distance, they are able to manage it fairly well. Aside the fact that Kirk and Brusco are really able to zone out the members of Twisted Minds efficiently, you wouldn't really want to come close if you're Twisted Minds, if you're just really waiting for your timings. Although they are indeed bulky, as Naisu has mentioned, it isn't the kind of situation wherein you are going to clearly get the advantage with just your sheer bulk and your ability to sustain everything.
And here's a look at Sensui's all-time hero stats. He's played 47 games with a 68% win rate, 32 to 15. And yeah, that's why we're saying when he was jungling, man, he was pretty locked in.
32 and 15, and you're seeing the Fredrin also right by his side, which is exactly the hero he's using right here.
Dear God! King Kong draws first blood on Outplayed. The KK connection is online.
And how do you get the confidence to fight back if your damage source is being threatened as that?
Escalera gets jumped on by 3. You see the damage? It all started with the CC set in by Prince. Down bottom though, 1v1. Naruto versus the Filipino national. No, he's not a national hero, but he is an iconic figure in Filipino history. And wow, oddly enough, James wins.
Welcome to the multiverse.
James wins.
And that was exactly what happened, right? The flickers, the ranged potential setups and crowd controls that could come in from ONIC. So even if you are the Granger, even if you are outplayed, you'd expect that you'd be the one who can fight from range. But then, look at ONIC!
Turtle number 2 coming in. Brusco and Kirk coming through. Tsunami slam on the 1. King Kong secures the turtle. Down goes Insui. The rest of Twisted Minds call it out. We're done with this. Escalera stopping the forward push of ONIC. Super Prince wants more. He wants the smoke. He backs off.
And it's like you said, man, the Twisted Minds is bulky, but they just have no damage.
Yeah.
They might be able to heal through some of the fights, but it's just ultimately they're lacking the firepower.
We have seen multiple iterations of this kind of peel. Sometimes it's mobility. You have good cardio going into an MMA match. This time around, there's a lot of fat on your body. You're taking hits.
You didn't cut enough.
But you can't throw them back out.
Yeah, and honestly, I would have thought that the Lapu Lapu could already answer so much of what ONIC has to offer, but the presence of the Lucas just denies almost everything. Even when James does decide to go in, that's probably not gonna stop Kirk from effectively getting to reach the members of Twisted Minds who do not want to get touched at all. So that poses a huge threat because it kind of isolates both of these players when in fact now that ONIC Philippines are way ahead, it'll be much easier for them to deal with James even if he does attempt to do the same.
Yeah, and that's why I said, you know, at the beginning of this game, I was like, it's going to take a while, I feel like, for Twisted Minds really to be there for the damage department. And ONIC Philippines knows this. They're playing around that advantage that they have.
Joseph, I'm afraid that a while might not even happen ever. Something tells me Twisted Minds went too hard into damage.
Yeah.
Because really, where's it going to come from? Outplayed? A very concentrated amount of skill procs from James?
Yeah.
Or a fully charged Appraiser's round? Like, where?
Yeah, I mean, James did go for the War Axe, but that does somehow kind of lacks efficiency at this point, despite the Lapu Lapu possibly being a threat, but hold on!
Here comes Team 7 and the rest of ONIC coming through. Shinsui pushes them over here, and it was all just to make room for the turtle.
Oh my goodness, the traction pulse is such a huge problem for a lineup like Twisted Minds, who literally has to stick together. So they have to be mindful of that, but look at the turtle!
Oh, they're going for it! Turtle secured by Shinsui! What I tell ya! Brusco here flickers back out. The boat might just be enough to deter ONIC, but no, they take down James. Still, no response from Twisted Minds. No fallen members of ONIC, and they push forward. The Super Fam one more. They pull. King Kong underneath tier 1. Outplayed. Slays the beast.
Maybe that's a moment for Twisted Minds to get into this game. You know, they got a lot out from ONIC Philippines. Sensui gets the objective, and they at least get a kill over there to their side as well.
Yeah, well, fortunately, they did not have to worry about the traction pulse anymore because it was just used by Super Friend. So it was really just the DOT and the other potential sources of setup. But the mere fact that King Kong also used his Retribution quite early on allowed for Twisted Minds to really get an advantage in that turtle in the way that Sensui was able to take it away from them. But even right after that, since they had a lot more resources in their hands and that Outplayed was already able to join them in the fight, it became a lot more better for Twisted Minds, so long as they're able to group up and work together without the threat of those setups that could really be effective against them if they're grouped up.
Yeah, again, I think one of the biggest things is we're seeing just how many options and initiations ONIC Philippines has if they want to go ahead and choose a fight. And that's where, again, these Purifies come into play. Sensui
looking for that
spots him out.
conceal play from Brusco.
Okay.
Sensui smelled it. He sensed it. You
Rest
could
of the
say
team's
his
there.
instincts came into play.
Oh, they're going to make a play on this turret, though. I don't think they get it. Good thing they're still there. So it's kind of interesting, too, the fact that, you know, with all this action happening, both teams only have one turret down.
Yeah, and James might actually be going for the damage route. Looking at the...
He's gotta. He has to.
Yeah, looking at the items he did pick up so far, so they are fully aware of the lack of damage that they currently have. But now it's somewhat commendable how they're able to keep majority of their objectives still intact and how they're able to balance so long as they're able to position themselves correctly before they're actually found out by majority of the members of ONIC Philippines. But then again, it'll be so tricky for them if ONIC Philippines actually gets to engage in a fight where all of them are just being pushed back all at the same time. I feel like Twisted Minds somehow, with James on this damage build, could potentially also look for areas where he can come in and disrupt those members of ONIC Philippines who are expected to really provide the follow-ups, because it's only then that Twisted Minds could potentially also go close enough to fight!
Forcing out the early Crimson Beacon. This is what Brigham was talking about. Twisted Minds, short to say, has to be there first, has to be Ube into the pit. But ONIC spotted one of them out early, and now the dance has begun.
The dance.
Kirk and Sensui outplayed from the flank here. Do they know Brusco's here? Do they know Calra's here? Soft reset.
Yeah, going for the reset for now. This is what Fredrin did so well for so long. He's trying to remember how to dance in the new dance.
Oh, Lord. That's an 8, a 10. In comes the rest of ONIC. King Kong secures the Lord. Summon Force coming in from Calra. Appraisal Rat, putting Super Prince down to 1 inch of his health. James trying to finish the job, but first Brusco falls. Down goes James, 1 for 1 the trade. Both teams don't want none.
No one dared to start the fight. It was just those two junglers waiting for the perfect opportunity. And just when the Lord was taken down, that's when the fight broke out, which initially could have been something massive for Twisted Minds, since again, ONIC Philippines were close enough to accept the damage of the Appraiser's Wrath. But then the damage coming in from James wasn't enough too, and now Kelra's online.
That was a solo kill, the dirtiest kind, in front of your teammates where they can do nothing.
That's what I was going to say. Like, how do you find that just there in the mid lane in front of Twisted Minds? Leave it up to Kelra to do that. So, Lord.
That was rude.
Still up. That was rude. Don't be rude on Sunday here, Kelra. Come on now. Now the shields are going to pop here. And the Lord is taken down, so they hold on for now. I'm not sure if ONIC Philippines still wants to go ahead and try to get these turrets down.
What if Kelra does one of those, oh, I'm under the turret kind of plays again because he's so up ahead and he knows his advantage. But I feel like they're going to be much more disciplined for now, and they're not going to force anything else because they've already got much of what they wanted in just 11 minutes, already exposing majority of the base turrets. But there's the Sea Halberd also picked up by James here, still looking to get another additional item. But then also... Sensui right now on the Fredrin is proving to get a much more of the necessary defense items up against this lineup of ONIC Philippines. Primarily, really, it's like he has to deal with Super Friends majority of the times.
Yeah.
But Super Friends has to be careful just the same, because there was, again, that one instance which we've seen earlier, that just a slight mistake in terms of positioning, bringing yourself too close to Twisted Minds, similar to what happened earlier, could really allow for a major turnaround once Twisted Minds gets to deal with it properly.
One of the biggest differences right now, too, I guess this is just a good comparison between the Fredrin and the Suyo still. You saw how much of a gap in terms of gold there is, just because King Kong as a Suyo can be wherever he wants to be across the map and farm up.
Just gold. XP.
XP as
I
well.
think that was key to the first Lord take. It was a retribution difference.
Yeah.
King Kong was at level 14, while Sensui was at level 12.
Yeah, it's and maybe that's, again, why we're in a position where, or current meta, where, you know, some of these utility heroes that are in the jungle that were in their former glory days aren't anymore.
I call it the benefit of the beast. King Kong be on top of the food chain, just eats better and has more nutrition, more XP, more gold. And that leads to Sensui always climbing uphill, swimming upstream for what little crumbs King Kong decides to leave.
Yeah, and it seems like ONIC Philippines once again with that almost 7K gold lead will get to position themselves first in this upcoming Lord, which is already the 12-minute Lord. Traction pulse almost caught Hajizi there, but that's becoming a huge problem. It's interesting how Super Friends, despite what happened earlier, is really the one doing majority of the poke, doing majority of the zoning for now, so long as ONIC is yet to commit. So if they're successfully able to do that, and Twisted Minds, they don't actually have a threat of doing a surprise setup just yet.
King Kong making the long way down after taking care of the camps and the lane up top. They're using the Lord as bait here. ONIC looking for the flank, the pincer maneuver. Look at Bruce going to counter from down bottom. King Kong secures the Lord. Kirk goes down, looking for a tsunami slam. No one home. Brusco flickers back, salmon forced by Kelra, keeping back the rest of Twisted Minds. James in the middle of it all. Down goes Kelra. Outplay gets a kill. Outplay gets a kill. Another one, a triple for him. Brusco and Kelra down. No one from Twisted Minds fall.
No one falls. ONIC gets the Lord, but Twisted Minds wins the fight. And that's what we were looking for.
Yep. The knockups from the title strikes coming in from Brusco as well as Keller, who were trying to come from behind, were a bit late for ONIC Philippines. Fortunately, yes, they did still get the Lord, but Twisted Minds were already able to position themselves in the most ideal places for them to be the ones at the advantage for that fight. James was able to find the spot where we've been suggesting him to do since earlier, and now we'll be seeing that in this instant replay. So that slightly delayed knockup, well, again, still fortunately they were able to get the Lord, but now it's James already able to go from behind and actually zone out the members of ONIC Philippines. And now with 2 of the damage items already in his arsenal, he's proving to be a great threat, especially that he's also able to somewhat sustain everything from the members of ONIC Philippines that were left in that area. He also got the Malefic Roar, so that goes to show just why he has that much damage already.
James smash, the incredible bulk, enough of a shield, enough of a distraction to allow for him to cut right through the back and compromise ONIC's use of the Lord. That was a negative gain Lord.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that that was the case too, because, you know, Outplayed really needed that. He needed that trip. What did he get? The triple, right? He got the triple. He needed that to go ahead and catch up here on this Granger, and that's been the case for a lot of the Grangers that are picked up now after that nerf that he had. So, and mind you, he was protected really well. I like the way that Twisted Minds played that last fight.
Yeah.
And yeah, James was a big part of that. The fact that he was a distraction enough to be 1v3, it was so crucial in that team fight.
I'm going to drop this now.
Drop it
Magic
now.
number, 5 seconds. If a fight lasts longer than 5 seconds and ONIC hasn't killed anyone from Twisted Minds, it's over. Twisted Minds has already won.
That could be. I mean, just look at how we were highlighting the way that Twisted Minds is so bulky. Now it's not just them being just bulky. They already have enough damage to pair it up. And who knows if he actually, or he most likely did get the kills right after this Skypiercer pickup. Yeah. So that's another layer you'll have to consider if you're ONIC Philippines. They can potentially really close out the gap.
At most, he has 3 stacks. Yeah. At most, it came from the triple.
I was going to say, I think he got the Skypiercer, yeah, but a lot, like way before the triple came.
Yeah.
I think it was like his second item or so.
So maybe 3 or 4 then.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if we get a look at the stacks here for Outplayed, but nonetheless, it's great for them. And now leading into this next Lord, we'll see how they play around it. I think one of the options for ONIC Philippines too, given that they're still ahead, is playing around the macro here, and that's why they've parked King Kong, you know, on usually the long lane, but it's Twisted Minds playing together, playing around the fact that they have a lot of this sustainability, and Sensui can hold this Lord here. He's also got no mortality now, so Outplayed picking up a BOD. It's a quarter of health on this Lord. Are they going to push this one forward?
What an immaculate dance. Lord now to a 10th of its health. King Kong already in the scene. Kirk forced to use the Unleash the Beast. Lord down to a 16th. Very low. Who's going to take it? King Kong with the retribution. Sensui and Brusco dueling deep inside ONIC's jungle. They retreat. and they're happy with what they got. A much better outcome in the last fight.
And the wave in the mid pushed down the base turret.
I mean, that was something Twisted Minds really had to risk because their lineup would have really worked best if they were all together. So they really compromised the waves, which eventually allowed ONIC to gain somehow access to the mid lane. But Sensui did a spectacular job avoiding all those potential sources of crowd control, but nonetheless, it was still King Kong who was able to secure that Lord. Now they're left to work on the defense once again. Fortunately, they have a lot of sustain to be able to work on this.
Allow me to drop here another painful truth. Twisted Minds has abysmal wave clear. They have to really get in there, fight in the mud, play in the paint to get rid of the waves, and now they did just that. Lord cleared as well, but there's still a huge chubby wave coming from top and bottom, and Twisted Minds, all they could do is pray that this works out.
Oh, they might be able to clear this out. It looks like they might, especially because Brusco doesn't have the flicker, and he's been the guy to start things up for ONIC Philippines. So it looks like that's what it brings us. This is still kind of mind-boggling that we're reaching almost the 20-minute mark here shortly. And I didn't expect Twisted Minds with this kind of lineup to get this far into the game.
Yeah.
ONIC is now respecting Twisted Minds' potential. They don't want that last Lord fight to happen again. Not the last one, the one prior.
Yeah, but somehow Super Prince, he's also getting poked really low, and James!
2v1! 2v1! James finds King Kong! What was that?
So this is the amount of damage you can expect from the Lapu Lapu on a damage build, able to deal with two members and just focusing down majority of it onto the Suyo, even though the Suyo was nerfed in terms of the magic defense.
Lord looks like how much time to the Lord and the difference between the cooldown on James's flicker.
We're a minute away. We're a minute away on the Lord.
And things happen just so fast.
So the 30 seconds, the window for James Flicker and the Lord.
Yeah. But that's going to get them some space, you know, to work with across the map. This is something that they desperately needed. And here's taking a look at the items. Like I said, for James, you know, he had the Athena shield too. Working on his next item, what's going to be damage. Well, putting pressure here on the tier 1. They'll clear it out though, so ONIC Philippines will hold on. And now at this point, I'm really wondering if we're going to see an adjustment in strategy from ONIC Philippines before this next Lord, or do they just still stick with the game plan of Brusco, grab someone if you can. But the Purifies are working so well to deal with this Kalea for Twisted Minds.
I mean, the threat of the bloom is still there. So even if ONIC Philippines, for instance, did want to attempt to go for that similar play, which they tried to do during the first objective, which was for Brusco and Kellera to go around the members of Twisted Minds, they'll still have to note that the bloom is still there. So that'll probably or most likely allow for Twisted Minds to get a bit more time to actually regroup and reposition themselves enough for the fight.
I can smell something fishy here. ONIC looking to play the map. They know that Twisted Minds can't do both. They can't defend and dance.
Yeah.
So that's what they do. They have to send Hajizi down to deal with it. King Kong will stay down there, though. Like, he knows he doesn't have to actually be here for this Lord dance right away. Like, he can go ahead and play it, yeah.
It's during moments like this where you just miss the vision that the Granger provides. But it's gone, so they have almost no way to actually scout the areas nearby because they also have to group up together, as we've mentioned. So they somehow have to respond to the waves this time around before they actually are able to fully commit to this Lord fight.
Even top lane, Kirk worked on that, and Twisted Minds are forced to send over people to defend.
Yeah, but this is still, again, this is that Evolved Lord, so it's going to take a little bit more planning to deal with this and try to get it down as fast as possible because the lanes are cleared now, so Twisted Minds can go ahead and join this fight. And as long as Sensui is here with Escalera, they're going to be fine.
Wait.
It's cat and mouse. Look, they're sending King Kong back down again.
They're just trying to swing around.
I think this is it. The point of no return. ONIC made the call. Don't let him come home.
Hajizi.
Oh, they jump Hajizi, forced to use the Crimson Beacon to retreat.
And the Purify.
Huge resources from Twisted Minds.
Yep, that was possibly one of the best scenarios that they could do prior to this Lord. It's bursting a member of Twisted Minds down, and that's something that mostly Kellera could be the one responsible for doing. So now that they sent Hajizi home, though, Will they still proceed with
As well,
this?
a beneficial push and a flank coming in. The tsunami slam taking down Escalera. That's a man down. Make that 2. Kelra takes that on Blade. 2 for free. Make that 3s. And Sui and James Paul make it 4. And Haji left in the base. Ladies and gentlemen, ONIC have found a way without taking the lore to take game 1. The Super Fam are just waiting for that wave.
They'll wait for the wave. They'll come in and for the victory as they take game 1 in this best of 3.
Blink and you'll miss it.
The KK connection successfully found the right pickoffs, the right people to